It marks the impact that a verb can have immensely. You see, a verb expresses a state or relationship between a subject and an object. And the hardest thing about the verb change is not the action, but rather acknowledging that there is an insufficient relationship between subject and object. People were the subject and freedom was the object. Realizing that for years, folks were robbed of that. Sam Cooke would later pen the words, "A change gonna come," so allow me to articulate where it came from. You see, we were brought over to this country as slaves, became nothing more than a hand in a field, developed a sound to which our faith could yield. Through that sound, recreated ourselves, simultaneously producing the most refabricated entity there is, our sound. Because it drew its strength from family ideals. It was rooted in pride and came from someplace unbeatable. Taught others what was forbidden and seemed unteachable. Manufactured greatness of the scraps that it was given. We were undoubtedly a people driven. I'm talking about an insufficient relationship. You see, it was barriers of disparity that segregated drinking fountains. It was barriers of disparity that made the back demeaning and inferior to the front. It was barriers of disparity that caused the skin tone lacking melanin to abuse a skin tone kissed with a deeper and darker pigmentation. It was barriers of hate and intolerance that reduced this nation to standoff riots and blatant assassinations. I'm talking about an insufficient relationship. But my people, some very notable pioneers refused to accept the state that that relationship, those subjects, and that object were in. Harriet Tubman, Malcolm X, Elijah McCoy, Adam Clayton Powell Jr., just to name a few. You see, when we freed ourselves, we freed America too. It would become every American's right, black, brown, white, blue, or green, to stand for the content of a person lying not in skin color, but in intangible things. Character, integrity, and the soul of a man would be the only attribute worth considering in this great land. And as a bloodstain in every American war, it was our land too. From the curvaceous slopes of California to the molehills of Mississippi, from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire to the high Albanese of Pennsylvania, 50 years of a relentless and indefatigable effort was to eradicate and forever banish an insufficient relationship. But it is not a charge with a finish line. It is not an irrelevant issue in the year 2014. It will forever be as imperative as punctuation, as essential as air is to breathe. Look around at the here and now. That is the asterisk that is Black history. You see, we sit in this room free as the jaybird flies, wherever and with whomever we may choose, because when we freed ourselves, we freed America too.